Hello class and welcome back. We are now going to be starting the next section of our Scratch tutorial. So we're going to be adding our first enemy or our first enemy minion. So what I want you to do is go down to the choose a sprite area and we're going to select an appropriate enemy for the game. So in my case, I think I'm going to use, let's go up to animals, and in my game, the enemy is going to be a bat. So we got our bat, clicked on him, he's going to appear, he's big, bat right in the center. Let's set his size down in the size box right here to 40 as well, similar to Scratch, so he's a little bat. And I'm just going to hit the green flag here to get the game restarted. So currently, there are... Let's move Scratch too. So okay, so we have 4 donut items and we have a bat. So there's nothing in the bat's brain right now. I'm just going to put him down here over top of this donut in the bottom right hand corner. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get Scratch to sense if he is touching the bat. So let's click on Scratch's brain, because this is actually where you would put this. So behaviors for Scratch touching an enemy, we want Scratch to do a series of actions. So we want to put this in his brain. So we're going to start a new block of code when green flag clicked. Over here we have the motion and a boundary sensing block that we had before. Now we're going to start a enemy minion block of code. So we're going to go to control. We're going to do a forever check, same as before. Forever checks are very important, so always be checking if, in this case, if. And we're going to add, so this is when game starts, forever check if, and then we got the blank, and then a then statement. So we are going to forever check if we're touching the bat, which is a pretty simple little check to do. So it's going to do sensing. And we're going to click on touching mouse pointer. We're going to drag that in, wait for that little white box to appear. And then we're going to select, go to the drop-down menu, bat. So now we have a block that says, forever check if we're touching the bat, which is good. Then we need something to happen. So first thing we're going to want to have happen is we are going to want to hide Scratch. So when we touch the bat, we're going to hide Scratch. So let's see if that works. Click on the green flag to start. There we go. Grab that donut. We got 1 point. And, oh, Scratch is gone. Click the green flag. Our donut reappeared, but Scratch does not. You can see that right down here, he's in the hidden. If we show him, we can drag him back up there. So we want to have Scratch always show at the beginning of the game. So we're going to drag a show tag outside of the forever, just as soon as the game starts, show Scratch. Okay. Now we're going to add what's called a respawn mechanic. So essentially a series of things that's going to happen after you die and then start the game again. So when game starts, show Scratch, forever check if touching bat. If touching bat, then hide. And now we're going to add a control. We are going to wait 1 second because you want to have a little bit of a delay so that it feels appropriate. You've died. There's a little pause. So we're going to wait 1 second. Then we are going to go, and we're going to set, where do we want us to go? We want to go, let's go right here. So that's x3, y154. So go to x3, y154. In that case, that's this position. You can set this to any position you want your respawn to occur. Go to x3, 154, and then, once again, we need to show. So, drag that show tag in there from our looks. Let's try this out. Test it out, going down and touch, wait 1 second, and pop. He comes back right where we started. That's good. That's good. I think we need to add one more thing though. We need to add lives. So we need to go to variables, and we need to make another variable called lives. Let's make a variable, let's call it lives. For all sprites, okay. So that was that make a variable called lives. It's got a blue check mark, so it's showing up here. And we are going to change our lives. So we're going to go to hide. We're going to drop it right between hide and wait 1 second. So it's got to happen instantaneously. And we want -1 because we want to reduce the number of lives you have by 1. So we're going to change lives by -1. Wait 1 second and then respawn in these coordinates show up. Okay. Let's try that again. Going down, and lives equal -1. We don't want -1 lives. So we need to do a couple of things here to set our lives to make them work properly. Let's go over to the backdrops, because this is where I like to keep most of our variables as far as setting them, is in the backdrop. The game starts, set points to 0. Good. Let's also set our lives. So let's set our lives to 3. Simple enough. Game starts, point 0, lives 3, scratch goes, dies, lives 2, goes, dies, lives 1, goes, dies, lives 0, goes, dies. Oh, now we're at -1. So we are going to need to create another behavior once we hit 0 lives, but we'll cover that in the next video. Right now we're just getting this bat to work. So right now the bat is pretty much just a static object that we can run into, which isn't very dangerous. So let's get some movement in this bat. Let's restart the game here. Bat's starting right here. I'm going to move him right over here to this donut. Okay, so he's on this donut, coordinates x, y. And we're going to go to the game starts. We are going to forever, and we are going to do a forever tag, and then we're just going to add some motions. So we're just going to do a repeating series of motions. So we are going to start, this is our first position, so glide 1 second to 194, 101. Okay, that's the first place we're going to go. Then we are going to go here. Just drag and drop him over that next donut. You see that the x is -192 and y is -146. You can see that's been updated here. So we're going to glide here, then over here, and once again glide here, and the last one right here, and glide here. And at this point, we've gone to the 4 positions, and then now that we're at the bottom, it will repeat. So he'll go back to this position, which is this one over here. So let's take a look. Good. He is now moving in a square. At any point, I could grab one of these and rearrange it. Now he's going to be taking a different series of actions. So, now he's actually just reversing what we've done before. So you can set these coordinates however you want. This is how you set the pathing of a minion. So you can add as many of these as you want to make as complex as a path as possible. That gets you, or allows you to essentially create a customized path where you don't have to worry about the minion doing things like sensing boundaries or doing specific behaviors and interaction with other objects. You can just say, follow this direct set of coordinates, and if you want them to follow a path to one end and then follow that path all the way back to that beginning point, as opposed to in a square or something, what you would do is then just reverse the steps once you got to your end point, and you would get all the way back to the end. So now there's actually a little bit of a challenge here because I actually have to try and beat this bat. Okay, that's simple enough. Let's add a little bit more challenge. Let's add another bat. Let's right click and duplicate the bat. The code is still in there, once again. Now if we hit the game start, you'll notice that they actually overlap because they're both going 1 second to that first point, and then 1 second to the next point, 1 second to the third, and then fourth, and so on. So we need to make a little bit of a difference here. So let's make this guy a little bit of a slower bat. He's going to be a 1.5 second, and 1.5, 1.5, oops, 1.5. Okay. So now you'll notice that one's going a little slower than the other. So we've got a slight variation on the behavior. One fast one, one slow one. But we could, for instance, add in something that makes him a little more unpredictable. So you could actually change how he behaves just on two of them. So we got 1.5, 0.5, 1.5, 0.5. Now he becomes a more dangerous minion because he can quickly race at you like that. That's a little way to introduce a little bit of variation to what you're doing. Gives you a little bit more control. And you can do this with different kinds of minions. You can change their pathing. You can change the sort of behavior between them. But that is how you essentially introduce minions and lives into your game.